Well, welcome back to another episode of A Lessons into Blessings. We have with us today Herve Francois, hailing from the East Coast. He's had over 23 years in the financial service industry on Wall Street in a mix of different areas, and I'll let him get into his background. And I want to really talk about how he transitions out of Wall Street onto Main Street and getting into real estate investing and how that's transformed the trajectory of his financial freedom and just being able to share those opportunities with others. He currently is at the DeRosa Group, which is an investment firm that's looking. Their mission is to transform investors' lives, right, through real estate. And so I want to make sure that we tap on all those things today. So welcome with me, Herve.
Hey, Tari, thank you very much. Appreciate you having me on your show today. So excited to be here. It was a pleasure meeting you a couple of weeks ago at the
Yeah,
conference.
definitely.
So it was
Absolutely.
a great follow-up, right? It's so much about networking when you attend those conferences and meeting people from your so-called tribe that are on
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. And it's just it's
the
I mean, we got it kicked off right at
right at the registration desk. Day
hey,
one.
right?
Like, what's up?
We just walked in and like, hey, what's up?
What's up?
And it
We've
was
known each
cool.
other.
Actually, I got to meet Joe Fairless as a result of that
There you go. That's right.
intro.
That's right, man.
I just was like, oh,
Yeah,
and he gave me a lot of really good tips just on business and growing
good.
and so so you're a connector. I could automatically pick that up, which I love.
Yes.
And that's important in this space, right? Like
Mhm.
we're all trying to achieve a lot of the same mission, and so that's kind of what I'm trying to take people on that journey as well. Just with the podcast and sharing stories like yourself, so that people continue to learn and grow and know that it is possible for them. So
Yes, absolutely.
I always start off with just like learning people's story, learning how people made the transition
Right.
to into real estate
Yeah.
and kind of what trajectory they've been on since then. So I will kick that off. What kind of got you started down the real estate chain?
Yeah, listen, Terry, it's a great question. It's a great story. Everyone has a different story how they
For
got it.
sure.
Some people they had their family into it for many many years, and so it's generational. And so they're coming in and they're taking over whatever mom, pops, grandparents, or uncles and aunts have been doing. It was not like that for me, right? So it was straight up bootstraps and having to learn and chip my teeth and make mistakes and lose money along the way, all at the
Right.
very beginning and everything else like that. But you're right, a 23-year career on Wall Street as a financial services analyst, covering technology stocks, covering Intel,
Right.
the work and things like that. And I always had an interest in real estate. I always had friends that did real estate investing on the side. I wasn't able to partake and participate because I was, 60, 70 hours on Wall Street a week.
Yeah, that's real.
I didn't have the time for a side hustle, was beginning the family and so on and so forth. And then, like many folks on the street, I found myself without employment in early 2017. And even at that point, I didn't make the decision to go ahead and pivot and go and pursue real estate full time because when you're on the street for that long, you're rat on a wheel. All you know is, hey, lost your job. You're out there the next day looking for the next one.
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
Many times it's across the street from where you were working because that's how New York City operates and whatnot.
Right.
And that's what I did. I was getting back on the train in the city the next day, meeting people. Did that for a couple of months, good meetings. But at the end of the day, I said, do I really want to do this? I'm only getting a little bit older. If there's any
Yeah.
opportunity for me really to pursue a true interest in real estate, it's going to be now.
Yeah.
And so I really, over the next several months, just immersed myself. I didn't buy anything. I didn't invest in any deals. I just educated myself. I read books. I attended seminars, obviously YouTube videos, and so on and
Right.
so forth, and educated myself. I did start going to some local real estate group meetings later on in the year. That's eventually where I met the partners that I currently work at. We just all
Love it.
happened to be attending the same local real estate meeting here in Princeton, New Jersey, and whatnot. And even then, I did not join them right away. I was in the midst of flipping a house. I hated that process. I was finding myself in Home Depot every morning at 6 o'clock, including on Saturdays. I said, damn, I might as well go work on Wall Street.
Right, right. Understood. Trust me now.
Oh my gosh. I'm like, I'm never doing this again. I did
Right.
not like that experience in the different factions of real estate. I decided I did not want to flip homes. Other people do it. No, I don't judge. Some people do it extremely well. They have the processes and the systems and the peoples in place to do it, and so on and so forth. I myself, for where I was financially, I wanted to focus more on cash flow opportunities. That had me starting focusing on small multifamilies. I got involved into a small multifamily deal down in Washington D.C. With a friend of mine. But once you that was a successful deal. Unlike the
Yeah,
that gave me the bug to go ahead and wanting to get into bigger ones and so on and so forth. But again, it was, do I try to do this by myself, or do I try to go ahead and partner up with folks, especially have been there, done that, and really
yeah,
looking to grow on the scale?
yeah,
And so the partners that I work with now, like I said, I met them at the local RIA meeting in New Jersey, and even then, it wasn't the first day I met them, and then we went ahead and teamed up.
right, right.
Seeing them once a month for 8, 9 months in a row, the
Yeah,
conversations really picked up after that, where they were themselves just getting started in their multifamily venture, but they were looking at deals across the country. They wanted to focus a little bit more on what markets they really wanted to target. They
yeah,
reached out to me, seeing if I'd be interested in joining their team to be the so-called acquisitions manager, really
yeah,
help them kind of figure out what markets they're going to invest, what properties are going to purchase, all of that being like, based off of the relationships that you develop with the broker. So I was able to bring aboard a lot of the skills that I learned on the street. I was a research analyst. This is
yeah,
taking that into researching markets, researching cities. What are going to be some of those metrics that we're going to use to identify an
yep,
attractive city to invest in? Population growth, job growth,
yep,
schools, and so on and
yep,
so forth.
yep,
I mean,
absolutely.
when you're investing in technology stocks, we're looking at gross margins, operating margins, looking at revenue growth, and so on, right, and things like market share, and so on and so forth. So a lot of my skill sets was transferable. And
Yeah,
a little bit as a tangent, I would tell anyone right now, Terry, that, and I'm sure you've seen this as well because you used to be in corporate yourself, right? That if you're coming from corporate and you have interest in real estate, whether doing it on the side, whether they're making a full transition, doing it to go ahead and replace your W-2 job, if you're at that Fortune 500, there are a lot of skill sets that you have learned at your job, being an engineer, being a
yep,
salesperson, being a
yep,
financial advisor,
yep,
being in construction, being a
yep,
real estate agent, right? And now all of a sudden, wanting to go ahead and utilize those skills in real estate. There is plenty of space for everyone with those various skill sets to have an opportunity to grow and scale in real estate as well.
yeah, and I love, man, you were hitting on stuff that I was like, it's in my mind, man. Yeah,
Right.
that's exactly it. I tell people, assess assess what you have, right? There's
Absolutely.
assets in your hand. A lot of people think, oh, I got to have the cash. Oh, I got to have the time. Oh, I got to have this, that.
Hmm.
Assess what you have. And you had, those research capabilities, the
Right.
financial acumen,
Right.
to be able to do a lot. And there's things I think people don't realize that's in their wheelhouse that they bring to the table
Hmm.
that they kind of, because they've been on a somewhat like a wheel, right? They've
Right.
been on this rat race
Yep.
that they don't even realize it's a special skill, that they
That's
don't
right.
even realize that it's like, wow, no, that's unique about you, and
Yes.
that adds value to someone, right?
Yes.
And,
Yes.
I love that you said, "Hey, I met these guys, 9 months prior," and
Hmm.
it was the continual it's consistency, so I'll knock that right out the door.
Sure. Sure.
You were consistent, you were determined, you were intentional, and I
Yes.
think people look for consistency, right? Like, I'm not
Yes.
looking for someone's gonna be here today, gone tomorrow. I wanna see that, hey, yeah, they're in it to win it,
Hmm.
and they're putting all their cards on the table,
Yeah.
to be in this venue or in this area or in this niche, right? And so,
Right.
I love how you position yourself without even realizing that you were positioning yourself, right?
Yeah. Pretty much.
Right?
Pretty much.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah. But
Absolutely.
having those open conversations, to how did you vet? So kind of
Mm,
a follow-up question. How
yeah,
did you vet them as, hey, yeah, these are people that we share values, and maybe it was over those 9 months,
yeah.
but what was that kind of process like, just for people who are listening?
No, Tara, you're right. It was over that 9 month period just to get them to know a little bit more. One of them was the president of that local rehab meeting at the time. The other was a so-called mayor. He would just go around and shake hands with people, kind of like a Joe Fairless kind of
Right.
thing, and whatnot. And for the local meetings, you would be seeing pretty much the same people. That one Wednesday or Thursday every month, because it was pretty much the same people. It was always after work, so it'd be 7, 8 o'clock at night. People getting off the trains and going straight there, and whatever. But they they were really open in discussing with me, how they got started and what their future plans look like, and at least where they wanted to grow,
Yep.
all within the foundation that um, we are all about transforming lives through real estate. And
Yep.
that is what, for me at least, that's what really, really kind of struck a chord with me.
Yep.
That's something that was very much attracted to. Who
Yep.
knows if they were going to be on the trajectory they said that they wanted to get to? I think there was a lot that they had to do. They had
Yeah.
some early success, but they were a little bit without direction, if you will.
Yeah.
And listen, it's not a judgment against them. It's just, truth be told, what happens to a lot of small businesses as they get started.
For sure.
You put all your eggs in one basket to do one thing. You do that well. Now it's, how do we grow? How do we do the next one? We're trying to keep our foundation also at the same time without trying to, lose any more money. Because when
Right.
you're buying a property, right, whether it's 10 units or 100 units, that's a business. That
Yep.
10-unit building is a business. There's financing behind it, there's marketing behind it, there's
Yes.
management behind it. That's a
Yes.
business. You can be
Yeah.
selling bagels, you can be selling buildings. It's a business. So they, I think, needed some direction. They knew it though. They weren't blind. They did
Right.
definitely knew it, but they wanted to make sure they did it with the right people. I wanted to
Yep.
make sure I was going to do it with the right company.
Yep.
Reason why transforming lives through real estate struck a chord with me was because I told myself that, you know what, I enjoyed my 23 years on Wall Street. I met some incredibly beautiful, bright people, intelligent people, no doubt about it. Best of the best. I worked at the big companies, I worked at boutique companies, and so on and so forth. But I felt that, like, my at the time, the end goal was to make money for this next client, to make
For
money
sure.
for this company, to make money for
Absolutely.
my boss, kind of a thing, right?
Absolutely.
And I did that real well. And I always tell my kids, hey, listen, I worked at 5 different companies over that 23-year career, but I only interviewed at one of them, and that was my first job. The second, third, fourth, and fifth one is like, you need to hire him because he's going to help you make money, right?
Right.
And I get it. That is the nature of the beast on Wall Street. You're either going to love that or you're going to hate it. I
Yep.
enjoyed it, and I eventually wind up doing better and better at it because I got it, felt comfortable, knew how to do it, kind of.
Yep.
So the thing was, now I was a point in my career, both personally and professionally, I would say even more personally, where I wanted to be in a position to give back more, to
Yep.
push it forward, not just about helping my boss or my client make money in his or her portfolio, but really to help folks that having difficult time, they want to make a change, they want to get out of the W2 situation that they're in, and they want to
Yep.
start putting something together generational for their
Yep.
family and their family's family. I wasn't able to do
Absolutely.
that on Wall Street. I find
Absolutely.
myself now able to do that here in real estate. And
Yep.
that's that to me.
Core value alignment,
Yeah,
absolutely, right?
100%.
And I think
100%.
that's why we connected too. It's just,
Yeah,
when you're around those people, right? Like, I think there is you're drawn to people who have alignment with you, right?
right.
And aligned along the same kind of core values. So that's good that you have the core values. So really now you're forming the team, you're together. Where did you guys decide to, and I can talk about who's on the team and how you guys complement one another, because
Right.
I'm sure that there's a good complementary
Oh yeah.
factor. You were a missing puzzle piece for their group.
right.
Um, how are you guys niching down for the DeRosa Group, right? How are you niching down in any particular area or any particular how do you outside of transforming lives, which is a key differentiator, right?
Yeah,
Anybody can say it,
yeah, I
but to
do.
do it is a different thing,
Yeah,
right? Um, are you guys how are you differentiating yourselves amongst, right, what is, becoming, a
yeah.
market that, "Hey, I could find a deal," right? But,
Right, right, right,
I'm
right, right,
gonna work
right.
with you versus work with someone else, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. There's no doubt about it. I mean, it's interesting you asked that question because I was thinking about this industry, from many, many years ago, right? I mean, I started the Wall Street industry many years ago, early 2000s, late 90s, early 2000s. But, you know, there wasn't really a lot of private investors getting involved in multifamily real estate at that time.
Right,
It was an industry that was largely for the institutions. They
right,
didn't have a lot of private investors, the Matt Faircloths and Joe Fairless.
right, right,
They,
yep,
there wasn't a market for it. That really didn't pick up in earnest until probably about like 10, 15 years ago,
good yes, very much
right?
so, good
With,
point, yep,
with the ability to go ahead and do these in a private equity fashion, but now with private retail investors. And then
yep,
it just wind up exploding. Low interest rate environment helps out, and so on.
yeah,
More
absolutely,
lending opens up to these private retail investors to participate. Next, they can start doing syndicated deals and so on and so forth.
yep,
Attorneys making themselves available to offer syndication packages to these private retail investors. So it really, really has taken off. Really, only in the past 10 to 15 years. I
yep,
would say we listen. We there are many ways to skin a cat in this business. Some people like to flip. Some people. Then there's different asset classes, as you know,
right,
multifamily, office, retail, storage, and so on and so forth. We're not really necessarily looking to reinvent the wheel as much as
yeah,
perhaps do what we do great,
yeah,
and whatnot, enhance and build upon it. Anything that I say, people are going to be like, "Wow, I never heard that before." Yeah, you have. It's just this is what we focus on. The pie is big enough, the pot is big enough for us to participate in and then grow if we
absolutely,
work our butts off. We put the right people in right places, right systems, right processes in the right places, well capitalized, and we grow from there.
yeah,
We're not chasing every shiny nickel all across the country. We're not chasing every asset all across the
yeah,
country.
yeah,
Class C, multifamily, value add right now in some Sunbelt areas right now, specifically in North Carolina, Kentucky, and South Carolina. And
yeah,
perhaps we're looking in parts of Virginia. We're not all over the place. We don't need to be all over the place.
yeah,
We're right now in one asset. We are 100 units and above,
yeah,
Class C value add. We don't do Class A. We don't purchase properties that were built in 2022, 21, 2019, and so on and so forth.
yeah,
Come in with that value add component because we want to be able to go ahead and reposition the property, add value ourselves, especially when we're in a market like this, when rent growth starts to subside. Now I can't ride 15, 20% rent growth that you've seen in Phoenix,
right, right,
Dallas, and Atlanta over the past couple of years, right?
right,
Got to put
right,
some work into it. So
yeah,
we're not hitched on, oh, hey, let's go ahead and buy this property because it's in a city that's experiencing strong double-digit rent growth. Even if rent growth subsides, we'll be able to go ahead and reposition a property, add value, and so on and so forth. That's why we were able to
understood,
go ahead and do a refinance on a property just 2 weeks ago. In this interest rate environment and banks blowing up and so on and so forth, we were able to do a refi and return capital to shareholders that have bought into the property two and a
awesome,
half years ago. So I would say it's right. The riches are in the niches. So that
yep,
is our niche. And the next component really is the educational component that I'm a big part of, that I love. And in the most simplistic fashion, teaching other people how to invest in multifamily. You
that's
don't
good,
need to get to the scale and the level of the Joe Fairlesses of the world if you don't want to. If you do, hey, great, no problem. Some folks are really content of buying a 4 unit here, a 5 unit here, a 10 unit here. Other folks want to buy 100 unit. We're not telling folks how many units to buy. We're not telling folks what city to buy in.
right,
We're exposing people to the benefits on an individual basis and a family generational basis
yep.
of the promises of investing in
Love
multifamily.
that, love that, love that. Yeah. And I so that is a big thing. So just when you say the word exposing, To me, it's
Yes.
I'm not trying to sell you. I'm trying to expose you to what
That's
is
right.
possible.
That's right.
And if you wanna take this journey, right? Because 'Cause I'm
That's
taking the same journey,
that's
right?
right. That's right.
And so if you wanna take this journey, I wanna expose you to what you may not have seen. And
Mhm.
it's funny because even as I, like, start to expose people to this space, it's funny that when you are working your W-2 or your 9 to 5,
Mhm.
you don't see these opportunities because you are working for someone else's mission.
That's right. That's right.
The
100%.
moment you now have an awareness that it's possible, an awareness to a space, you then start seeing opportunities everywhere,
Right. That's
right?
right.
Like, there's people that are, they'll hit me up and like, "Hey, is this what you're doing? Oh, is this?" And I'm like, "Yeah, you're just seeing it now. It was always there.
Yeah, I got a few of
Now
that
that
too.
your mind is open to it,"
Yeah,
right? So
yeah.
it is absolutely a mindset, and I think exposure helps to open up the mind to what is possible, right?
Yeah,
And
yeah.
for a lot of people, if you think about just people who have been only exposed to one environment, only exposed to X, Y, and Z, as you expose them to more, now they realize there is a possibility of more. So I love exposure is a big word for me because
Yeah.
it's one of my mission statements and in how we want to be able to just expose people to what these opportunities are look like.
Mhm.
So I'm glad that you kind of use that word. You talked a little bit about education and educating, just investors that are working with you. What are some of your, as new people are coming on board, what are some of your top things that you're kind of leaving with them to make sure that they understand this space well and the benefits obviously and the possible pitfalls, right? That
Yeah,
they may get themselves into.
yeah. One of the things that it's a great question, and I appreciate you asking. I think one of the things that I try to leave them with is, excuse me, make sure that you have a plan. It's so important that you have a plan because it is easy to get lost in this real estate world. Because like I was saying, there's a lot of shiny nickels in a lot of different areas, right?
Yep,
Oh, I want this property in Phoenix. I want this one in Vegas. I want this in Chicago. Well, you
yep.
can go all over the place. And then on top of that, there's so many different assets and so on and so forth.
Mhm.
It's like, then you can say, as you know, when we met at the conference, we had those buttons. Do you like to raise money? Do you like to manage the property? Do you like to find the property and so on and so forth, right?
Right.
And I think you had said that I do all of them, right? Unless you do few of them, right? You like to
Yeah.
find out the deal, and that's all cool and well. But it goes back to you don't need to learn how to do everything in real estate in order to succeed,
Right.
right? You didn't know how you did not have to learn how to do everything at Intel in order for you to succeed. You
Yep.
were great at what you did. They saw
For
value
sure.
in you, and so on and so forth, right? And then from there, perhaps you might have learned a few additional things because
Yeah.
you wanted to make yourself more worldly. But at the end of the day, you had a particular strength, and maybe more
Yep.
than one particular strength, right?
Yeah.
And it's the same thing to me in real estate. So really have a plan. And once you have that plan, put that plan on paper, right? And you just keep it simple. Okay, I want to look for a 10 unit apartment building in Phoenix or in Baltimore, Maryland or Miami, Florida, wherever kind of a thing, right? And now
Yep.
you're going to go out there and you're going to develop relationships with those brokers that has those listings of a 10 unit in Baltimore, Miami, wherever, right? You're going to
Yep.
talk to investors on a consistent basis. Hey, if I were to find this 10 unit that costs $1 million, would you like to invest with me? I can pay you 7% or 8% or 9% and
Yep.
things like that, right? And then you just build from there and build from there and build from there. And that's how you can scale. And you're not going to do it by yourself. You're not going
Yep.
to do it by yourself because the concept, oh, I'll make more money if I do it by myself. No, you won't. You're going to find a lot of trouble. You're going to find a lot of pitfalls, and you're going to find yourself pulled in so many different directions. 2 years later, you're going to be looking at yourself in the mirror. How come I've only done one deal in 2 years?
Right, right, right.
There's a problem here. There's a problem in
Right,
the back. Like, oh, well, I'm
right,
making all the money. You're making no money because you've done one deal in 2 years.
right, right, right.
So that's why I'm not saying that you have to go out and excuse me, hire a bunch of employees and have a big team. But you do want to go ahead and put yourself with a couple of people, and you guys can just do one-off deals together, or you're going to say that you're going to collaborate and you're
Yep.
going to do all your deals together. That's a
Yep.
discussion that you're going to have, right? And everyone is going to have their marching orders. They're going to have their specific responsibilities. So that's something that I really, it's
No,
what I
that's
have.
good.
Yeah, that I have my responsibilities. Justin, my partner, he has his responsibilities. Matt, my other partner, he has his responsibilities. We don't always agree. We don't always see eye to eye, but we definitely respect each other,
Yep.
and we all know what our short, medium, and long term goals are, where we
Right.
want to go, kind of a thing.
Right.
So,
Yeah, no, so I love, like, reiterating because so the plan, critical. I
yes,
think even with the plan, understanding your why,
that's right.
so that your plan is in alignment with your why, right?
100%. Yeah,
Um, and as they're starting to kind of work towards, what walking out that plan, just having the team aligned around them that's going to complement them to step into what it is they want. Even if, and I know you mentioned it, even if you buy one house every 2 years, if that's according to your plan,
that's
you're
according to
not
your
trying
plan.
to get you want if it's in alignment with your plans,
Right.
so be it. That
That,
was what works for you. That's what works for you.
that's right.
You can definitely fuel you just get further with the team,
That's
right?
right. You get further with the team. I
Yep,
think you enjoy it more with the team
absolutely.
because you start seeing things possible that perhaps you didn't see possible before.
Yep, yep,
And it's to your point where all of a sudden some of the folks that I worked with in the Wall Street industry for such a long time, they'll see one of my posts on Facebook or Instagram or something like that, and they're like, "Oh, Irving, what are you doing now? You're doing that, dude? How did you do that? Oh my God!"
right,
Kind of a thing, and
right.
they never saw it possible. They never thought it possible. It's an amazing topic for water cool talk. Folks love to discuss real estate. I think you probably found that
I
in your
I
job,
love to discuss real people
right?
don't wanna get in a conversation with real estate with
Yeah,
I will have you
people just
tied up for
love to
hours.
talk, especially people who are not investing in real estate. They love to talk about real estate, and a lot of it is questions like, "Dude, how'd you do that? When did you like? How did you find a? How did you raise money? Did you really
Right,
just spend that money all by yourself?" I mean, it's just, and I think it's just because they understand. Kind of goes back to what you're saying about your why. For a lot of people, it is their financial independence. I don't think money is enough for it to be your why. For you, like you said, you like to, lead things for folks. We like to transform lives through real estate and everything else like that. There are blessings in what you do and why you do and how you do it, and so on and so forth.
absolutely.
So that's probably a big part of your why, kind
Yep,
of, because there has to be something more motivational
for
than
sure.
money it's
Yes,
itself. And part of it for me, again, the education to go ahead and expose and empower folks to do this on their own, to do it with other people, that it is possible, and truly bring it to exposure. Whereas many, many years ago, as I was saying, you didn't have private retail investors purchase multifamily, it was institutions. Eventually, wind up getting into the hands of private retail investors. Where I would like to see that go is into the hands now as well, just continuing with that growth and transition into the hands of brown and black people, because they could view it and use it as an opportunity themselves to relinquish themselves from their day-to-day W-2, as
yep,
well as build something generational, all with the
absolutely,
foundation of what their why is.
absolutely.
Yep.
Alright, so now 2017 or 18 to now,
Yep.
can't remember when you started, to now, where have you guys gotten? I know you're buying stuff in about 3 states,
Hmm.
multifamilies, you're taking down. How are you acquiring deals in today's market now? How do you feel still strong about your company moving forward? Even in the space, it's a high interest space. We're kind of really just going back to where we were 2007, 2008 interest
Yep.
rate space, right?
Yep.
We're not even technically there yet.
Yep.
Technically, we're like just starting to teeter on it, right? So
Exactly.
what is keeping you guys kind of alive, especially you as an acquisition manager? How are you still able to really be strong on the acquisition side? Obviously, it's hard to find deals, so we know that.
Mhm.
What do you feel is like giving you strength in that space?
I think, so with the beginning of your question, so 2017, 18, at that time we had probably just about 400 to 500 units under management, at the time, and today we're at 1,700 units under management, right?
Yeah,
And so we have a goal within the next 5 years, 5, 6 years. I think we want to get to 5,000 units under management, right? And that's just going to be growing within the markets that we have identified that
Yeah.
we want to grow because we think that they're attractive markets to grow in.
Mhm.
Sometimes is it tough to find good deals? Yes. So that's why when it's tough to find a good deals, you have to focus on making a good deal, right? And that's going to be on, whether it was a seller financing opportunities, it's going to be on different ways that you go ahead and underwrite the deal. It's going to be on different waterfall scenarios, on preferred returns that you can offer your investors. Do we even offer a preferred return to our investors? We've been underwriting without giving a preferred return to our investors, and just a quarterly distribution payment kind of a thing. So, so some, maybe we're not going to put in as a heavy capex budget into this deal as we would have in the past. We're going to hold that off. But the flip side of that is now you're not going to be able to get the higher rent since you're not going to renovate that unit, and so on and so forth, right? So these are the things that we balance,
Love
and
it.
so on and so
Yeah.
forth.
Yeah.
And we try to stay disciplined. Keeping
Yeah.
it real, last week we had submitted 4 LOIs on 2 properties in North Carolina, 2 properties in South Carolina. Unfortunately, all 4, were not admitted, because the bids wind up going, even higher and higher, and we were disciplined, right? We were able to move up on that a little bit, but not.
Yeah.
We had to stay disciplined, and we
Yep.
put out. But guess what? Today we're underwriting 3 new deals, and
Yeah.
that's just the bids, right? Low hit rate. You have to understand that. Don't get disparaged, down, depressed about it. It's just understand that that is just kind of part of, par for the course, if you will,
Yep.
right? And,
Yep.
and so we just have to expect that, and you just get back onto it and get back onto it. Was I disappointed? Sure, I was disappointed. But like I said, we're now underwriting 3 new deals. And so I'm
Yep.
like, all right, we got another opportunity. And we'll be underwriting more deals next week. So,
And,
I'm,
and what that says to me is that you're protecting your investors, right?
yes, 100%, 100%.
Because you can, I
Wow.
mean, you could throw some crazy offers out there if you want to, but
Man,
then you see, oh man, this person won the deal, but 2 years down the line, oh, they're in trouble now,
I'll do
right?
my last offer.
Yep.
Because,
Yep. Yep.
I literally told that to the broker 2 days ago. I said, hey, listen, John, you got to understand something, man. I said, I would love for us to go ahead and come up on our offer price here. We really, really like this property. We walked the property. We underwrote the property. We really like it. And it'll be a great addition to our portfolio. But if you want me to do more deals with you down the road, trust me, you do not want me to come up on price here because
Right.
next thing you got other operators out there talking about having to do a capital call on a property that they bought just last year or 2 years ago because they're not going to
Yeah.
be able to refi it later this
Yep.
year as they had originally planned. We are not in that situation. And part of
Yeah.
it is just being very, very disciplined. We play the long game here,
Yep.
and so it's not just, having to come up to bat and hit a home run, if you will.
Yep.
It's
Absolutely.
like you
Other
got
thing,
word consistency, consistency, consistency.
exactly. It wins the race every time. The turtle, the
Right.
turtle won the race for a reason.
So true. So true.
The second thing you talked about is make the deal,
That's
which
right.
I absolutely love. And I think your background in as a financial analyst and really understanding that the devil's in the details, right?
Oh yes. Oh
How
yes.
did the last operator not perform well, or what are the things they left on the table that now we can take advantage of, right, to make
Mhm.
this a good deal,
That's
right?
right. That's
And
right.
so finding those areas, do we do a little less capex? Do we, is there a way that we can provide benefits and incentives and get a little bit more income? Like,
That's right.
and so it's all of those nuancy things that, quite frankly, not, every operator is going to look at a deal differently. Every
That's
operator is going to analyze it and take it down a little bit differently. And so those are the things that make the difference for me when I'm looking at, okay, what is this operate? Because I'm an analyst by trade too. I mean, I
yes. You
engineering
gotta get
background,
it.
so I think about things in
Right.
that way. Like, what are they doing that's making such great returns? Right?
Right.
Like,
Right. Right.
and
Right.
those are great questions to ask. Like, okay, what are you doing differently?
Yeah.
That's you're coming up with these types of returns, right? And so, but I like how you said that make a good deal, right?
You
And
make
so,
the deal.
yeah,
Sometimes you gotta make the deal. You know what I
yeah,
mean? It just can't be you analyzing the numbers that you get directly from the broker. It's like, all
yeah,
right, what can we do a little bit different here to make this a little bit more attractive? And
yeah,
sometimes you can.
Yeah,
But
sometimes you can, and if you
yeah,
can't, throw it away, right?
what it is,
For
you
sure.
walk away. You know,
Yep,
if it's not good, you walk away, right?
yep, absolutely.
You really go ahead and work those numbers. Like you said, I mean, can we go ahead and throw some washer dryer units in here and turn around and lease those to the tenants, right? So kind of boost up our other income line. Is there something that we can do with the pet fees or something like that? Is there something we can, renegotiate our insurance premiums or something like that?
Right, right.
And instead of
Yep,
$500 a unit, maybe $400 a unit on
yep,
a unit property, right? That's savings right there of 10,000 a year. So stuff like
yep,
that, very, very significant. Very, very
yep.
significant.
Absolutely, absolutely. Well,
Yeah,
man, I loved having you on. We can't ever leave the show without talking about the lesson into blessed moment.
that's
So
it.
I'm going to end on that question. What is kind of the biggest lesson you've learned over your real estate journey, which started, maybe 5, 6 years ago? What's the biggest lesson that you've learned and you've been able to turn into a blessing?
The biggest lesson that I learned is that I am in a very blessed position to give back to other people. That's the biggest lesson that I've learned, right? I mean, I'm gonna do okay in this industry and whatnot, and I enjoy what I'm doing. Um, I wish it was a higher hit rate, being able to acquire more per year. But again, it just kind of comes with the territory,
Yeah,
par for the course. But I get true enjoyment when, I run into a person, meet a person, they say, "Hey, Irving, man, you helped me out tremendously. I was able to meet this partner. I was able to underwrite this deal. I was able to acquire this deal. I made a good sale on this deal," kind of a thing. So, and if I can not only push that forward, but show other people that they can do that as well,
yeah.
I've succeeded in this biz.
That's absolutely
Yeah,
that's awesome.
yeah.
Love it, love
That's
it, love it.
me
Man,
most. Me
thanks for
most.
spending this time with us and dropping the wisdom and nuggets that you dropped. How can people get a hold of you before we drop?
Best way I would say is my LinkedIn. That's probably my go-to on social media usages of
Yeah, no worries.
platforms out there. So definitely hit me up on LinkedIn,
Okay,
Herve Francois. Drop me a message, and happy to get back.
cool beans, cool beans.
All right.
Well, we are always glad to learn from the lessons from everybody we have on the show. But until next time, stay blessed.
All right. Thank you very much. Thanks.